Beijing, a capital of 1,000 years, where China's history, politics, and culture converge. Visitors often think first of the Great Wall, the Forbidden City, or Tiananmen Square. But there is another heritage just as important, its cuisine. Beijing's food has two faces, the refinement and grandeur of imperial cuisine and the warmth and simplicity of Hutong fare enjoyed by common people. Together they form a unique identity, dignified yet down-to-earth, grand yet comforting. Beijingers value bold and straightforward flavors. Dishes are not about fussy plating, but about being hearty, generous, and satisfying. From a humble bowl of jjiangmian to the world-famous Peking Duck, every dish reflects the city's strong and open character. For travelers, Beijing is not only a place to see, but also a place to taste. A food journey here moves from imperial banquets to Hutong stalls, each dish telling a story that lets you understand the city not just with your eyes, but with your palate. Peking duck is the most famous dish of Beijing, with a history of more than 600 years. It first appeared in the Yuan dynasty, but reached perfection during the Ming and Qing courts, becoming an imperial banquet treasure. The preparation is meticulous. Ducks are specially bred and grain-fed, then inflated under the skin to separate it from the meat. The skin is brushed with honey or maltose syrup, and the duck is hung in a brick oven fueled by jujube wood. After about 45 minutes, the duck emerges golden and crisp, the skin crackling like paper. A skilled chef carves it into thin slices, each piece carrying both skin and meat. Traditionally, the slices are wrapped in thin pancakes with scallions and sweet soybean paste. The crisp skin symbolizes refinement, the tender meat abundance, and the rolling of the pancake reunion. Today, Peking duck is no longer limited to royal courts, it has become Beijing's culinary ambassador to the world. For many travelers, no trip to the capital is complete without tasting this legendary dish. Jjiangmian is Beijing's everyday classic. Thick wheat noodles topped with a rich, salty sweet fermented soybean paste sauce and minced pork. It's simple, filling, and unmistakably northern. Its roots go back to old hutongs, where workers needed a fast, hearty lunch. Over time, it became a taste of memory for Beijingers, cheap, reliable, and everywhere. The sauce is the soul, fermented soybean paste gently fried with oil, scallions, ginger, and minced pork until glossy and fragrant. It's then spooned over hot noodles with crisp julienne vegetables. Typical toppings include cucumber, radish, bean sprouts, and sometimes soybeans. Their freshness cuts through the rich paste. Mix thoroughly so every strand carries sauce and crunch. Meaning-wise, jjiangmian reflects Beijing's character. Straightforward flavors, no fuss, big comfort. For travelers, it's the quickest way to taste the city's daily life in one bowl. Shuanyangru, or Beijing mutton hot pot, is a wintertime symbol of the capital. Its origins trace back to the Yuan dynasty, when Mongol influence brought lamb into northern kitchens. The setup is iconic, a copper hot pot shaped like a chimney, burning charcoal at the center, surrounded by simmering broth. Diners gather around, dipping thin slices of lamb into the boiling soup. The meat must be paper thin, just a few seconds in the broth, and it turns tender and flavorful. The dipping sauces are key: sesame paste, garlic, soy sauce, and chopped scallions. Beyond flavor, the hot pot is about warmth and togetherness. Families and friends sit side by side, sharing from one pot, creating both heat for the body and comfort for the heart. For visitors, eating shuanyangru is not just about tasting lamb, it's experiencing Beijing's winter tradition, a ritual of fire, steam, and companionship. Baodu is one of Beijing's most enduring street legends, a dish born in the smoky hutongs carried by vendors with steaming cauldrons and still cherished today. Made from beef or lamb tripe, it is not roasted, not stewed, but flashed, plunged into boiling broth for mere seconds. What emerges is not simply food, but texture incarnate, crisp, tender, and bursting with vitality. The art lies in timing, too short and the tripe is raw. Too long and it turns rubbery. Masters of Baodu handle their wire skimmers with precision, swirling the strips through the bubbling broth and lifting them out with a flourish as if inscribing flavor into the rising steam. The broth is plain, but the ritual is everything. And then comes the dipping sauce, the stage where magic unfolds. A dense paste of sesame, garlic, vinegar, and chili oil welcomes the tripe, coating it in nutty perfume and fiery warmth. The contrast is intoxicating. The tripe's clean bite against the sauce's depth, a clash that somehow becomes harmony. Deep Baodu in Beijing is to taste more than food. It is to stand in the alleys where emperors once paraded and commoners once struggled, inhaling steam that has risen for centuries. It is to taste survival, ingenuity, and the heartbeat of a city that never stops moving. A relic of northern caravan routes turned capital craving. Born in Hebei's market towns and embraced by Beijing, donkey burger fuses rustic ingenuity with urban appetite. Slow-braised donkey, perfumed with spices, tucked into a crackly, griddle-baked flatbread. Meat that tastes like history lean, tender, quietly sweet. The filling is braised low and slow with star anise, ginger, cassia, and fermented bean paste until the fibers relent. Hand-chopped, glossed with its own juice, and salted just enough to wake the grain of the flesh. The hashou shell is rolled and lightly laminated with oil, then baked on flat iron until it shatters into blistered, paper-thin layers clean snap first, then a warm crumble that drinks up the juices. Assembly is minimal because the flavor isn't. A spoon of braising gravy, a fan of cilantro, maybe a sliver of green chili. That's it. Spice warmth, herbal lift, and a faint sweetness lock into balance without ceremony. Why Beijingers love it: quick, portable, and shamelessly satisfying street food with the soul of a braise. In a city of pageantry, donkey burger wins on texture, honesty, and a finish that lingers like a good story. Linju Hashou is Beijing at its Rostan alleyway creation that smells of smoke, iron pots, and survival. It was born in the Qing dynasty, when butchers sold cheap cuts and innards to workers who needed warmth and calories more than elegance. The broth is a dark cauldron of comfort pork intestines, lungs, blood curd, simmered with soy, ginger, and spices until the liquid thickens into a deep, almost medicinal perfume. Into this broth go chunks of hashou bread, roasted flatbreads that soak and collapse into the stew like edible sponges. The bowl looks rough, almost chaotic bread, awful, dark broth mingling without ceremony. But the first bite tells another story. Chewy bread laced with soy, the iron tang of blood, the funk of intestines softened into richness. It is not polite food, but it is unforgettable food. Often paired with Baodu Beijing's discreet legends in one breath. Order a bowl of linju and a plate of flash-blanched tripe, and you'll taste the city's yin and yang, the dark, soulful stew and the clean, snappy bite. One warms you from the core, the other wakes the palate like a bell. For Beijingers, Linju is more than sustenance, it is a badge of local grit. Tourists may hesitate, but locals eat it standing in alleys, steam fogging their glasses, knowing this dish belongs to them and no one else. Daok is Beijing in liquid form, sour, murky, uncompromising. Made from the leftover liquid of mung bean starch production, it has sustained the city's poor since the Qing dynasty, offering protein where meat was scarce. For locals, a morning without Daok is incomplete. For visitors, finishing a cup is like earning a badge of initiation, proof you've truly tasted Beijing, not just heard it. Tradition demands accompaniments: deep-fried dough sticks, pickled vegetables, and sometimes a crisp fritter called jiuquan. The bland, crunchy sides tame the sourness, turning ordeal into ritual. Its taste is infamous, pungent, tart, with a hint of earth that lingers on the tongue. Outsiders often recoil, but Beijingers sip it with pride, claiming it as proof of their city's toughness. Tanghulu is Beijing's childhood crystallized hawthorn berries lined on a bamboo skewer, dipped in molten sugar, then hardened by the northern winter air into ruby glass. Street vendors carried them through hutongs, the skewers catching light like jewels in the cold. The taste is a game of contrasts, the brittle crack of sugar giving way to the sharp sourness of hawthorn. Each bite is loud, unapologetic, and unforgettable, the kind of flavor that startles before it soothes. Over time, vendors expanded beyond hawthorn, using strawberries, grapes, even cherry tomatoes, kiwi, banana, and whole mandarins. Yet the soul of Tanghulu never changed. It is edible nostalgia, a portable memory of cold streets and warm laughter. For centuries, this humble candy marked the rhythm of Beijing's winters and festivals. Children clutched skewers at temple fairs, their lips stained red, while parents savored nostalgia as much as sweetness. To taste Tanghulu in Beijing is to join a ritual as old as the city itself. It is not just candy, it is the flavor of winter, the sparkle of childhood, and the sweetness of belonging. Beijing-style xiaomai is not the delicate dim sum of Cantonese tea houses, but a sturdier cousin built for northern appetites. Its roots stretch back to the Qing dynasty, when imperial kitchens adopted it and street vendors and hutongs made it their own. Cooking is simple yet dramatic, steamed in bamboo baskets until the wrappers turn translucent, the grains of rice swelling, the meat releasing its juices. When the lid is lifted, clouds of steam escape carrying the scent of grain and fat. Xiaomai is more than breakfast, it is a ritual of Beijing mornings. Locals pair it with hot tea, dipping it into vinegar or chili oil, eating it standing in crowded shops before heading to work. It is fuel, comfort, and tradition in one bite. Beyond steaming, Beijing also has fried xiaomai golden wrappers crisped in oil, their bottoms crunchy while the sticky rice filling stays soft inside. The contrast of textures makes them a beloved street snack, especially in colder months. The wrapper is pleated high and left open at the top, revealing a filling of sticky rice, pork, mushrooms, and fragrant aromatics. Unlike southern versions, the northern xiaomai is dense and hearty, a small bundle that eats like a meal. For visitors, Beijing's xiaomai offers a glimpse into the city's rhythm, practical, straightforward, yet rich in memory. To taste, it is to share in a daily act that has nourished generations. One winter night, Emperor Qianlong wandered through the narrow hutongs of Beijing. It was the last night of his journey before returning to the palace the next day. Suddenly, he was drawn by the crackle of oil and the irresistible aroma drifting through the coal. He stepped into a tiny tavern, no bigger than a courtyard room, and ordered the dish that carried the fragrance. The innkeeper brought out something that seemed far too humble for an emperor: thin shreds of pork lacquered in dark soybean paste, glistening under the dim lantern light. Yet the aroma sweet, rich, intoxicating, sliced through the winter chill. When Qianlong returned to the palace, he decreed that this common tavern dish should be honored on the imperial menu. It was also a dish of symbolism. The glossy strands of pork, shining like calligraphy strokes, were said to represent longevity and prosperity. Serving it at gatherings was not only about taste, but about wishing abundance and smooth fortunes. Over time, Jingzhong Rosi escaped the palace and found a home in Beijing's hutong restaurants. Workers and students embraced it because it was filling yet affordable, a small taste of imperial grandeur made accessible to the common table. What makes it unique is not the pork, but the ritual. Diners wrap the strands in thin pancakes with cucumber and scallions, folding them like letters. Each bite becomes a story: meat for sustenance, paste for heritage, freshness for balance. Over time, Jingzhong Rosi escaped the palace and found a home in Beijing's hutong restaurants. Workers and students embraced it because it was filling yet affordable, a small taste of imperial grandeur made accessible to the common table.